Welcome back, everybody. Time now for one of our favorite segments, Trending Now. Now listen, if you're scrambling for a last-minute gift, why not a giant Fruit Loop? That's right.
That is that is a proper scale picture.
Is that
Can you
a
believe
real
that?
thing?
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It's only 930 calories.
That's not bad for a whole Fruit Loop.
Weighs about half a pound, and it's said to taste exactly like the cereal.
It's the latest playful art piece from Brooklyn-based artist collective Mischief, and it's part of the, quote, extremely unbalanced breakfast.
Now, the giant Fruit Loop goes on sale Monday for about $20. Mischief says they're only releasing a limited number, so you can expect them to sell out quickly. I mean, come on, that's the perfect Christmas gift.
Deep into it, and I got to the understanding that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, and there's at least 11 dimensions, otherwise the universe would collapse. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified, so they're sitting right on top of us.
Super rare limited edition cereal you didn't know existed.
So within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists with a whole other universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here.
We got the craziest snacking today. Mischief sent us their big Fruit Loop that they just dropped, and I was so excited to finally open this bad boy up. Bruh, this thing is literally just one big Fruit Loop. I was like, what? The smell on this was actually amazing too, and look how big it is. It can literally fit my whole hand in it. But now for the taste test, man. When I tell y'all, that thing is smacking.
Today I got the big Fruit Loop. So the brand Mischief came out with a Fruit Loop, and it's one big Fruit Loop.
I was lying about paying $115. Oh my God, I've been waiting 2 weeks to eat. Oh, it's as big as my head.
Here where we're sitting right now, there's a whole nother dimension of a whole nother universe happening, life taking place.
Yes.
Right in the same space that we are.
Right here. Right here where we are. Right here. Vast too, vast. Just as vast as ours is vast.
One giant Fruit Loop. I don't know how I'm gonna eat this thing.
This right here is the biggest Fruit Loop in the world. The serving literally reads one big Fruit Loop. It's pretty heavy, man. And if you eat this entire Fruit Loop, it's 930 calories. What the hell? Oh, look at this thing. Here we have the world's largest Fruit Loop. It smells exactly like it. This thing is the size of my face. This thing doesn't even fit in a normal cereal bowl. Barely fits into a salad bowl. Bro, if I had this as a kid, I would have lost my mind. You have to like break it apart. This thing is so thick. It's exactly like Fruit Loops.
Guys, we got one giant Fruit Loop from Mischief. So let's open this up and see what it looks like. If you don't know Mischief, they do all these like different weird activations, and they've done things like Satan's shoes and bringing like Chick-fil-A to Sundays.
So it's pretty cool. Weird stuff starts happening the higher the dimensions you go.
So is the idea that when you're in a higher dimension, you can see below lower dimensions, but you can't see dimensions above you?
Exactly, unless you have the capability of matching. First, you have to obtain the frequency of higher dimension and then match that frequency.
And how did we come to the understanding that these higher dimensions exist? Like, what is the most basic evidence that we have of this?
Quantum physics proves it. When we look into the quantum world, everything changed. In standard physics is where we are right now, on the large side of physics. But the smaller you go, the more weird things get. We find that particles transphase in and out of existence, and they go to different dimensions. We even know now that some of our synapses of our thoughts in our brain phase out of this dimension and they go somewhere else, and then they come back again. And this has all been tracked and traced through the understanding of quantum mechanics and quantum physics.
Of rebelling against this status quo. And each iteration of the one isn't another person, but the same person whose mind is thrown into simulation upon simulation upon simulation. When Neo puts up his hand and successfully destroys a bunch of Sentinels, manages to see Smith in code, and uses his telepathic powers to destroy a barrage of missiles in the real world, our understanding of reality is thrown into disarray. There are two explanations for what is happening here. Either Neo and Smith's powers have transcended the Matrix and now exist within the real world, which would make no sense. Or what we know as the real world is just another layer of simulation in version 8 of the Matrix, used to trick everyone into believing they have the power of choice.
Candy?
As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level.
Okay, this is what I'm good at. Playing video games. It's what I do. It's literally the main thing that I do. Play a game like this, there's gonna be levels. In order to finish the game, you gotta complete all the levels. Levels are gonna get harder as we go along. We complete the levels.
Spencer, do you even know where we're going?
Kinda.
Kinda? Oh, that's good then.
For our last speaker, one of the greatest presidents in American history, Mr. Abraham Lincoln.
Score in 7 minutes. We, your forefathers, were brought forth upon a most excellent venture.
That's why you should send your kids to school with Cheez-Its Christ, the only snack.
Basis of the fractal holography that we're living in. We're fully immersed in it, so we can't detect it, but we're living in a light matrix. And that's what the Adinkra codes also prove.
Okay, explain the Adinkra codes. What is that exactly?
So, Professor James Gates Jr., University of Maryland, former scientific advisor to President Obama, and he put together a team of the most incredible supersymmetry and theoretical physicists in the world, like the top brains in the world on this. And they started analyzing what is the ether of space-time. What is this soup that we're living in, that we're inhabiting, this universe? What is it? What is it made of? What's powering it?
A game for those who seek to find a way to leave their world behind. You roll the dice to move your token, doubles gets another turn, and the first player to reach the end wins. You want to play?
They discovered something called Adinkra codes, which go back to the ancient Dogon tribe from Mali, Africa. These Adinkra codes, and they would draw these patterns. Well, he discovered that these patterns are actually mathematical codes. And these are not just any mathematical code. There goes one there. They're actually the codes that describe the ether of space-time itself. They're error-correcting codes, the same exact codes that run our search engines and web browsers that we're using right now to look at the image. There's coding behind that screen that runs this, what we just did. And guess what? It's the same code that runs the universe. So we discovered that we're living in a program light matrix. There's a software programmer that has written this code. So these are Adinkra codes. You can see the colorful one that was up there. These are depicting the nature of reality. And they actually are mathematical programming code. They're a special type of code, though. They're error correcting codes. The same type that Google browser is running on is the same thing that runs the universe.
Error correcting codes.
Yeah.
Our universe is part of a simulation. We're all part of the simulation, regardless of our time and space. It's all predetermined, all pre-calculated. By who, we don't know.
A contribution to the world of mathematics, and that part of mathematics known as tiling. You know, tiling, the process of putting tiles together so that they form a particular pattern. The thing that was remarkable about the pattern that Roger Penrose developed is that by using only 2 shapes, he constructed a pattern that could be expanded infinitely in any direction without ever repeating. Much like the number pi has a decimal that isn't random, but it will go on forever without repeating. In mathematics, this is a property known as aperiodicity. And the notion of an aperiodic tile set using only 2 tiles was such a sensation it was given the name Penrose tiling. Here's Roger Penrose, now Sir Roger Penrose, standing on a field of Penrose tiles. Then in 2007, this man, Peter Liu, who was then a graduate student in physics at Princeton, while on vacation with his cousin in Uzbekistan, discovered this pattern on a 14th century madrasa, and after some analysis concluded that this was in fact Penrose tiling 500 years before Penrose. What was the world view of the culture that made this? But not only is life complicated, life is also aperiodic, in the sense that every event, every happening, every decision will make the future unfold differently, often in ways that are impossible to predict. Yet in spite of the complexity, and in spite of a future that's impossible to predict, there remains an underlying unity that holds everything together and gives rise to everything. Let's see how that works in a design much like there's an underlying structure and unity, things that seem to be complex and aperiodic. This notion of a hidden underlying
26 years ago, we started playing a little game. And now, we're all gonna sit down, we're gonna finish it. And guess what? It's your turn. Play the game, Sarah.
Where is my phone?
We are in different people's bodies.
It doesn't seem like the most pressing concern at this moment.
Oh, really? You don't think this would be a good moment to make a phone call or text somebody or change your status to stuck in a freaking video game?
Am I really here?
What do you mean by you anyway? Are you your arm or your leg?
Hardly.
Really? If you lost all your limbs, wouldn't you still be you?
I'd still be me.
So, what is the me?
My brain, I suppose.
Your brain. Your brain is a body part. Like your fingernail or your heart. Why is that the part that's you?
Because I is sort of a voice in my head. The part of me that thinks, that feels, that is aware that I exist at all.
So if you're aware you exist, then you do. That's why you're still here. no windows. What aren't you ready to see, I wonder?
And what do we gain from all of this knowledge? Like, what does this tell us, and where do we take this? Like, what is the, obviously this is like foundational knowledge for us, but like, where do you see it going?
Well, if you understand that we're living in a fractal holographic light matrix, it doesn't mean we're not real. It just means that there is a creator or creators, that we're living in something that was created, just like the ancient texts and all the scribes and biblical texts and everything else says. But it tells us, wow, this is the method of the creation. Now we're getting closer to understanding what we really are. We understand now that consciousness isn't made inside this avatar body, that the avatar body doesn't even exist, that consciousness is a stream of something, coming from somewhere else, and is being picked up in this matrix with this coding. If you took all the humans on Earth, there's 8 billion humans on Earth. If I took all 8 billion humans and removed the empty space between their atoms, I can fit every human into a sugar cube. One sugar cube can hold all 8 billion of us.
Really?
Yeah.
All the atoms of 8 billion people on Earth.
You could atoms are empty space. If you take the empty space out, you collapse it into one sugar cube. All 8 billion can fit in one sugar cube. So what does that mean?
Wild.
What's here? There's only one consciousness, it seems.
They go around. They come back. They go around again. They just go around and around.
And it's like a radio station that's transmitting out a frequency from a higher dimension. Our avatar bodies pick up that frequency. You're 99.1, I'm 99.2, he's 99.3, but it's still coming from the same source. And so we're all coming from the same source. It's like the universe has found a way to live subjectively through multiple entities, but not even through entities, even through objects that we consider to be man-made, because every atom we know now in quantum physics is also conscious.
Does this give any credence to the simulation theory?
Absolutely. We're living in a simulation. This is an actual simulation.
What's in your hand? Drop it. Into the line, Sonny Jim. Game's up. Start running. No. Aren't you afraid? Terrified. My father told me you should always face what you're afraid of. Good lad. You're finally acting like a man. Any last words?
Jumanji.
Place where we all go can't be bad, can it, girl?
Kite and dart tiling, or in this case, paving. There was a prize in mathematics for anyone who could come up with a mathematical proof of the minimum number of tiles that could be put together in an infinitely varying yet tessellating sequence. And the prize was eventually claimed, and the result was 2. And the 2 shapes are the kite and the dart. Now the kite is this shape here. I'm going to put my foot in the center of one.
Should you be interested in constructing one of these yourself, here are the angles that you'll need. Of course, you can make it any size you want.
The dart is a little bit harder to see because here they've broken it up into 3 bits. But can you see these paler 3 bits of stone come together to make a dart shape? And these 2 shapes can be put together in an infinite variety, constantly tessellating. And
It was 1974 that Roger Penrose, a British mathematician, now Sir Roger Penrose, Order of Merit, Fellow of the Royal Society, solved the riddle. And well done to you, sir. Slightly disappointingly, you can't just put the tiles next to each other any old how and expect infinite variety. There are certain rules. You may think that, for instance, these 2 tiles are just aching to meet like this, but then you get a boring rhombus and the infinite variety is destroyed. Instead, you must obey certain rules, and to make this easy, the tiles can be labelled with swathes of colour, and then those swathes of colour themselves create more infinite variety of patterns.
This pattern is life. And as you can see, life's complicated. It's complicated. But not only is life complicated, life is also aperiodic in the sense that every event, every happening, every decision will make the future unfold differently.
Towards Dr. Gates, curious about your theory. You say there's computer code in these equations. Now, computer code is generally just instructions for a processor. And I'm curious as to what the instructions you're finding are, and if you're not sure what's to say that it's actually computer code. I mean, theoretically, the number pi has all the data that's ever existed.
They're computer codes, first of all, because the structure of the equation is such that they dictate that there are certain things that are actually strings of ones and zeros. That's just digital data, but it's not just random ones and zeros. As I mentioned earlier, let me talk about something that you probably do every day, but I don't know if you're a computer scientist or not. Most of us sit at our computer screens and we type on the keyboards, and we then send these, if we're using a browser, we're sending strings of ones and zeros elsewhere. But on the other hand, in the transmission process, there's always some fluctuation. So a 0 that you type here because of static in line might be read as a 1 at the other end, and vice versa. And so in fact, when you sit and type on the keyboard, your computer's doing something behind your back. Namely, it throws in a bunch of extra ones and zeros, and these things are called error correcting codes, so that the computer at the other end can look at the whole collection of what you typed plus what was sent and figure out if there were bits that were being flipped back and forth. And that's how you get accurate transmission of digital data. Among the codes that are used for this purpose are a special class of codes that are called block linear self-dual error correcting codes. They were first, in fact, the Shannon extended checksum code is an example of one of these things. These are the codes that we find buried in the equations. Not just any code, but these self-dual error correcting block codes. It's quite remarkable for anyone that I've talked to. We have no idea what these things are doing there. The British journal Physics World asked me to write a popular level description of what we have found. So in the June edition of Physics World, and it's published in London, the cover story is called Symbols of Power. It's about these weird symbols that have been showing behind us. We call these things Adinkras. And so for a popular level description, yes, we've written that. But other than this one popular level description, it's all technical gobbledygook.
This to me is the craziest thing that I've ever personally encountered in my research. And it's actually got me to wondering how this could come about, because the only place in nature that we know about error correcting codes is genetics. And in genetics, we think it was evolution that causes error correcting codes to be in genomes. And so does that mean that there was some kind of form of evolution acting on the mathematical laws of the physics of our universe? This is a very bizarre and strange idea. And it's something I've wondered about from time to time since making these discoveries.